Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Tyree from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be episode 182 for you guys today. Of course, this episode is going to be coming out on all four of our platforms: our Instagram account, our Facebook account, our YouTube account, and our Apple Podcast account. So let's go ahead and dive into the first segment of this week's episode. I'll be sharing my NFL Week 11 summary. So I'll be going over all the games and all the performances that stood out to me the most during the NFL week of Week 11 during the regular season. So, starting off with the Sunday game that stood out to me was the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers rivalry. You had the Steelers defeat the Baltimore Ravens by a score of 18-16. Now, this was a typical AFC North battle between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, the biggest rivalry, in my opinion, currently in the NFL. The matchup between the Ravens and the Steelers never disappoints, and it didn't this weekend. Shout out to the Steelers kicker, Chris Boswell, for making 6 field goals for the Pittsburgh Steelers to defeat the Ravens. The Steelers didn't even score a touchdown, but they still found a way to defeat the Ravens on Sunday. And their defense showed up big, only allowing 16 points to the number 1 ranked offense in the National Football League. That offense led by Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, they're a hard unit to stop, but the Pittsburgh Steelers defense did the best they could, holding them to 16 points, and it paid off for a big AFC North victory. Now, the Ravens realistically shot themselves in the foot because they didn't play well, but they could have edged out a victory. Now, they had a total of 12 penalties. I thought I was watching my Dallas Cowboys out there, undisciplined team coached by Mike McCarthy, but they had 12 penalties out there. Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals. If he at least made one of them, they would have beat the Steelers, but he missed 2 key field goals. Lamar Jackson really didn't play the best, passing the ball 16 for 13 passing. The Ravens are now 1-8 against the Pittsburgh Steelers in their last 9 meetings, so the Steelers have the Baltimore Ravens number. Lamar Jackson continues to lose against the Steelers. The Steelers have firm control of the AFC North, and they realistically control their own path of winning this division this year. So big win out there for Pittsburgh. Now, another rivalry game. You had the Green Bay Packers defeat the Chicago Bears by a score of 20-19. Now, this was a really good NFC North matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. Christian Watson was a big factor at the wide receiver position for the Green Bay Packers out there. He was really the X factor in the Packers offense, having 4 catches for 150 yards receiving. Jordan Love also had a game-winning go-ahead touchdown drive. Now, the Bears got to be crushed because that blocked field goal had it was deja vu of how the Broncos lost to the Chiefs. They had the game-winning field goal in the palm of their hands, but the field goal was blocked. That's the same scenario that happened to the Bears. The Packers blocked the kick. And the Bears, I know they have to feel some type of way because they're 4-6, but they could easily be 6-4 based off the term of events that have happened over the last few weeks. That last play, Hail Mary happened in Washington when they lost to the Commanders. Now, this blocked field goal prevented them from picking up a big victory against the Packers in the NFC North. So the Bears have been owned by the Packers. They haven't beat them in 6 years. But as I digress, I guess the offense looked a little better after the Bears fired their offense coordinator. Caleb Williams was making plays with his arm, making plays with his leg. He did look comfortable throwing the football. So I gotta say, they played pretty good with the chatter of benching Caleb Williams, but the end result of picking up a win didn't work out for the Green Bay Packers for the Chicago Bears, I should say, against the Green Bay Packers. Now, another game. The Indianapolis Colts defeated the New York Jets by a score of 28-27. Now, the Colts, man, they have been through a lot. Their quarterback, number 5, Anthony Richardson, found himself back on the field this weekend. Starting for the Indianapolis Colts, it had paid off by Shane Steichen going back to the youngster and benching Joe Flacco because they picked up a win, a much-needed win on the road at MetLife Stadium playing against the Jets. Now, Anthony Richardson did look good in his first game back with the Indianapolis Colts. He went 20 for 30 passing, 272 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns. So he was definitely the X factor and a big reason why the Colts beat the Jets. And he did have a go-ahead game-winning touchdown drive as well. So the Jets, they've lost another one. They're now 3-8. They fired their general manager earlier today. Nothing is working for them on either side of the ball, offensively or defensively. They stink on both units, and the defense has really gotten worse since they fired former head coach Robert Saleh a month or so ago. So everything is falling apart for the New York Jets. This is really bad because you really don't know where this team goes moving forward after this situation. So bad look for the New York Jets here. And I actually got a stat for the Jets. Previous starting quarterbacks like Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, and Aaron Rodgers. If you asked me this question if you asked me this question 6 months ago, I would obviously say Aaron Rodgers have a higher winning percentage than guys like Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold. Well, here it is. Zach Wilson has a winning percentage for the New York Jets at a .364. Sam Darnold has a winning percentage with the New York Jets of a .342. Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, has a winning percentage with the New York Jets of a .273. This is sad. This is really sad for the New York Jets. Tough time to be a fan. Also, let's move on to the next game. You had the game of the week. You had, in my opinion, the game of the week. You had the Buffalo Bills defeat the Kansas City Chiefs by a score of 30-21. Now, this was a huge statement victory for the Buffalo Bills, defeating the Kansas City Chiefs at home, handing the Kansas City Chiefs their first loss of the NFL season. The Chiefs were 9-0. They were finding several ways to win, but they couldn't find a way to win on the road in Buffalo, New York, with the Bills handing them the first loss of the NFL season. And this was another classic Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen matchup. I always say it's this generation of Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning of great quarterback matchups in the AFC. And Josh Allen stepped up for the Bills when they needed him to, when it mattered most. He had one passing touchdown, had the go-ahead rushing touchdown to help them seal the victory. I mean, James Cook was very active, helping them win this game as well. 2 touchdowns as well in the backfield. But the Bills defense picked off Patrick Mahomes twice in this ball game. I said heading into this game, it'll be very important for the Bills to get turnovers. They did against Patrick Mahomes. And they held their best receiving options of guys like DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce to under 40 yards receiving combined. So the Bills defense did a good job blanketing the big targets of DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce, the big receiving options that the Kansas City Chiefs have. So this was really good. And the pass rush was really getting home on that, especially the left side of that offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs. They had no answer for slowing down the pass rush against the Buffalo Bills. So this was a really good game by the Buffalo Bills defensively. This is the reason why they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, getting into some breakout performances with Week 11, I mean, the honorable breakout mentions, I mean, you had Jared Goff carving up the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, going 24 for 29 passing, 412 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. He's back in the conversation for being most valuable player this NFL season. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 11 catches for 161 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Then Taysom Hill, this man did everything for the New Orleans Saints. He had 3 total touchdowns, 138 rushing yards, 50 receiving yards, 18 passing yards, and a 42-yard kick return. 42 yards worth of kick return, or yardage of kick return. So, I mean, this is crazy. And Bo Nix also had a good performance. He went 22 for 33 passing, 307 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns against the Atlanta Falcons. Had a breakout performance as well. Derwin James, for safety for the Los Angeles Chargers, had a big game, 10 tackles, half a sack, 1 quarterback hit, 1 pass deflection. I'm about to get into the Chargers, but these were some big-time... Oh, and, of course, that Joe Mixon big-time performance against the Dallas Cowboys last night, rushing the ball, having 3 rushing touchdowns. These are some big monumental performances in Week 11 that these players help their teams get victories for their respective teams in Week 11. Now, final game I'll mention is that Sunday night game between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Chargers defeated the Bengals by a score of 34-27. Now, I thought, watching this Sunday night game, I'm like, damn, in the first half, the Chargers looked good. All they needed was one damn good coach to turn around things in LA. And that is the truth with Jim Harbaugh, established head coach. But man, I was watching this second half when they had a 27-6 lead, and I'm thinking they're about to pull a Brandon Staley days. blow a second half lead, but they buckled down. The Chargers defense heading into that game against the Bengals, they were only allowing 12 points per game. That was the best in the National Football League. And they were beating up on some bad teams like the Carolina Panthers, the Las Vegas Raiders, the New Orleans Saints, the Cleveland Browns. You only can play who's on your schedule. But they finally had to overcome some adversity when Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the Cincinnati Bengals offense was humming, getting back into the ball game. They showed when their backs were against the wall and they had to show up. They had got stops when it mattered most. So I congratulate the Chargers defense for doing that and not blowing the game, because this is a big Sunday night victory for them. Justin Herbert played good in Greg Roman's offense on Sunday, passing the ball, running the ball pretty well. Ladd McConkey looks pretty good with the Los Angeles Chargers. Could be a star wide receiver. We see the good route running skills that he possesses. We've seen that in his collegiate days with the Georgia Bulldogs. Derwin James also balled up for the Chargers, like I just mentioned. 10 tackles, half a sack, 1 quarterback hit, 1 pass deflection. That was a big-time win for the Chargers against the Bengals on Sunday night. Now, the bad thing is for the Bengals, it looks like they're going to miss the playoffs. And that is very sad when you have defensive player, the lead candidate to win Defensive Player of the Year, and Trey Hendrickson, causing havoc on the defensive line, leading the league in sacks. And then you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, who are having really solid, really great years at their respective positions, because Joe Burrow leads the league in passing yards, passing touchdowns. Jamar Chase is the receiving yard leader and leads the league in touchdowns receiving for wide receivers. So, and I'm looking at the Bengals. Zach Taylor might be on the hot seat for the Bengals because they are 4-7. He is the play caller offensively because their former offensive coordinator went to become the new Titans head coach. So all eyes are on Zach Taylor here. They're 4-7. Career years from Burrow and Chase, and it looks like they're going to miss the playoffs, being 4-7. And yes, the defense is a big factor because they have one of the worst defensive units in the league. But damn, missing the playoffs when you have Burrow and Chase playing like this, and this could be the final year where you're able to afford Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. This is not a good look for the Bengals. So, damn. But that is my NFL Week 11 summary.